computer. All right. Looks like we're recording. And of course, right when the dog starts barking. So welcome everybody. I'm Rick Pozos. Tonight, Nick Disney is going to be talking to us about wholesaling, about getting started, things you can do to get rolling with your real estate investing career. So let me go ahead and turn it over to Nick and go ahead and start talking.
Thanks, man. Let's see if I can share this.
There you go. Beautiful.
All right. I put getting started and wholesaling. You know, there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, the best way to get started is wholesaling, or it's the only way you should start. I don't really buy into that. I didn't start, my first deals weren't wholesaling them, but I do think there's a lot of value in it. I think there's a lot of value in it that we miss when we're first starting out, because we have our mindset that we want to do a certain thing. And I think that we want to kind of open that up a little bit and see what all kind of options we have, especially when we're getting started. And then how does wholesaling maybe play into that, no matter what your plan is. Like we said earlier, Nick Disney, we don't do as many fix and flips anymore. We were doing quite a few. Have some owner finance properties. I really do like making the notes for cash flow. And then portfolio rentals, those work well for a few different things. And I still wholesale some properties, wholesale and, wholesale, where we'll buy them and we'll just sell them on the market. I really think it should be part of pretty much everybody's strategy, because every property is not going to be right for you. And if you can, kind of like what Rick was saying earlier, if you can find a way to monetize that deal, it might be right for somebody else. And a lot of times those might be wholesale properties. Buy throughout San Antonio. We have a few properties in the Valley, and then anywhere close. If there's a really good deal, we'll go outside a little bit. And if you guys have questions, I'm an open book. So, we'll talk for a little bit, but don't hesitate. Just ask the question, fire away. And I'll try to put a little pep talk in there for Joe and Lucy so we get rocking and rolling. Look, the most important thing about wholesaling, okay, it's just finding a property. But finding properties is got to be part of your investment strategy somehow, in like some way. That's got to be a part of your plan. Here's what I mean. For me, it's a part of my plan because I want to find that property at the best possible price, so then I have all the options open to me. If I want to sell it to Rick, okay, here, I'll sell it to Rick. If I want to make it a rental property, I can make it a rental property because I bought it at a certain price point. If we want to rehab that property and sell it, if you buy at the right price point, it works for most of those things. Plus, anytime you can be the first person in line, i.e., it hasn't gone through a wholesaler or somebody hasn't bought it and marked it up and moved it over to you, well, obviously you're going to get it at a lower price. So if we're trying to wholesale, we got to find a way to find our properties. And then all you got to do is get that property under contract. I get it. First time you go to contract a property on your own, it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's not that hard. I do like the TREC 1 through 4 contract. If you just Google TREC 1 to 4 sales contract, is a free one. You can use it. It has quite a few pages. I do have a shorter one. I'm pretty sure Rick has it too.
Sorry, quick question on that one.
Yeah.
The TREC, that's the promulgated Texas real estate promulgated contract, correct?
You're using big words there, Jason. So what does promulgated mean?
Sorry, the ones that's standard for like realtors that they have to use.
Yes.
The TREC one.
Thank you.
Are you, so actually I went through this recently and I don't know why, but it kind of concerned me.
Sure.
Are you allowed to use that if you're not a realtor? Does it still hold up?
So it's a great question. And I had this thought. So absolutely you can use it, right? So TREC is the Texas Real Estate Commission, right? But that is not where there's also a bunch of forms are the Texas Association of Realtors, which they put on all theirs, unapproved for use if you're not a licensed Texas realtor. But I don't think that's on the TREC contract. But you can absolutely use it. I'm not a licensed agent, and I've used it a lot. if you are confused, I don't know how terrible the video is because I did it a long time ago, but I think I made a YouTube video about how to fill one all out. So if you guys are, really bored and you want to learn how to fill it out, it might be worth it. If not, walking it through it, most of it's self-explanatory. If not, you can get some shorter contracts. Just some things you might want to watch out for when you do that, because not all of them are going to be quite as good. Once you've got a property under contract, all you gotta do is find somebody that wants to buy that property that wants to pay more than you, right? Joe pays higher prices than I do for properties. Great. If I find the right property for him, he will buy it. Okay. Now I'm gonna have to give him a little pep talk and get him all excited about it, right? But Rick will buy a property if I was wholesaling it to him, and I'd buy a property from Rick. Now we've known each other a long time, so I know probably what he's going to be willing to pay, and he knows the same information about me. But as you get going and you make the different contacts, there's probably things that you want to buy in certain areas that I don't buy a whole lot of, or I wouldn't buy at a certain price. Doesn't make them wrong. It just gives us an opportunity to work together, and we all make a little money off the deal. Once you've got somebody, what you're going to do is you're going to sign your contract. Okay. And to sign my contract is usually one page. It basically says this. All right. I contracted this property with Joe. Joe's going to sell it to me. Okay. I'm going to assign my rights to the contract that I had over here with Joe. I'm going to assign those to Jason. Okay. So Jason is going to pay me to basically buy my contract for me. That's all you're doing when you're signing it, right? He's going to give me a fee for that. That fee is going to be as big as small as whatever, we could work out. It's basically going to get bigger if I bought it at a lower price, right? If I got it too expensive, then I'm going to make less.
Does that fee usually come in at closing or on assignment?
So either way, like if you ask me, what's my assignment fee, I'll tell you, because I still think it's a good deal to you. So if it's $1 million, I'm gonna be like, look, I made $1 million, but you're still getting a good deal. It's not going to be that much. It will get paid at closing, right? Now, somebody might want a deposit, which is very standard for you to put a deposit, because they don't know, you don't have a relationship with them. They don't know you, and they don't want you to fall out on the deal. I think you can handle that however you want. If I don't know you, I'm not giving you a check, right? I say go sell it to somebody else. But I'll put up earnest money at the title company. I don't have any problem with that. If I was assigning you a property and I don't know you and I haven't worked with you before, then I would expect you to put up a little more money. And all you got to do is do what you say you're going to do. And it's not a big deal. All right. So when the end buyer comes and buys that property, what you get is the difference between your original contract price, what I contracted it for, and what Jason agreed to pay for it, right? My buyer agreed to pay for it. So if Joe sold me the house for $1 for some odd reason, right, then I would get all the dollars except for one of what Jason agreed to pay for it. Now that's probably not going to happen. Okay. Probably made a few bucks in between and everybody's happy. I still got to give Jason a good deal or he's not going to buy it. And I had to get Joe a good enough deal that he was willing to sell it to me. How are you going to find these properties? This is, I'm pretty passionate. You've got to work and you've got to find some properties. If you tell me that you're looking on the MLS or you're looking on Zillow every day, great. You're wasting every day, guys. You are not going to get there. You've got to get out and find some properties a different way. It doesn't mean you have to be directly marketing if you just can't do it or refuse to do it, but you've got to some way be putting it out there to find off market properties, especially in today's market. It's 1,000 ways to do it. Every guru thinks their way is better than the other guy's way. It's probably because they're selling you a course on their way and not the other guy's way. They all pretty much work. You just got to know where you're at and what you're willing to do different ones, right? Online, website. So you're looking at like SEO. SEO just means you want to rank higher. When somebody Googles sell my house for cash in San Antonio, I want to rank #1. There's a lot of stuff you can do to get there. It's a lot of time and energy, or you can pay somebody. There's a lot of fight for it. SEO just really means how high you're ranking in Google. AdWords or Google AdWords. So if you Google something, the ones that have the little ad that are right at the top, you're paying for those. Do they work? Yep. Are they expensive? Oh yeah. Right. So you have to look at your budget. Facebook ads, it's not my wheelhouse, but it does work. my experience, it's a lot cheaper than like AdWords. And so you get a lot of leads, but I get a lot of terrible leads, awful. They don't even own a house, right? So you gotta filter through a lot more leads to find a deal. Direct mail is also a little more expensive if you're gonna do it on a scale and consistently. Direct mail is by no means dead. You know, people want to maybe argue that back and forth. It still works. You're going to have to be consistent on whatever you do, right? Don't tell me you're going to do something for 2 weeks or, you know, oh, I sent 50 postcards and it didn't work out. It's probably not. Marketing doesn't really work that way. You've got to be out there consistently putting your name out there. You don't know if somebody's going to call you the first time they get a card, the third time they get a card. I've had people, I haven't sent a letter in a year and still like, hey, I've got your letter here about buying my house, because they saved it. And that's when they're ready. So always being out there, lots of good lists. Absentee owner, it's a little tough. I don't know that you get a ton of deals that are just absentee owners, and I wouldn't only market to that because I buy a lot of properties from people that live there. Tax delinquent, I think, is a good list, a little harder to get. Probate leads can always be good leads, and then somebody passed away. Probably a little more expensive to get those leads and to market to them. Co-compliance is another list that people have success with. There's tons of things, and lots of times you can layer those lists. Like, so you got absentee owners. Okay, maybe that's not so great, but you got absentee owners who also are tax delinquent. So now we've got a couple of layers of motivation. So you start thinking like that, like, well, oh, okay, I only got $500 a month to spend. I'm going to try to like send that $500 to the very best people I can. Maybe you want to look at layering for like multiple levels of motivation. Although, I mean, bandit signs works. I never got a house on bandit signs, but I also didn't really do it consistently. I think there's certain areas of town that you want to avoid that. They're a little more feisty about it. I'm probably not the expert, but if you committed and said, man, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put 100 signs a week and I'm going to do it every single week and I'm going to go, you'll get deals, man. You really going to have to make a commitment and a plan and figure out what time on Saturday mornings you're going to get up there and put them all out. So, if you have no dollars, I swear word of mouth works great if you do it well. I don't do it well, but a lot of other people do. Here's what I mean. And I know Rick and I have probably talked about this 1,000 times. You're looking for a deal. Okay. So you think about all these people that you know that are kind of in your circle, right? All the people that are around you. One of them has a house they need to sell, or their aunt needs to sell a house, or their cousin is behind on taxes and is getting foreclosed on. I guarantee if that is in Lucy's circle of friends, they would be much more comfortable calling her than they would call me. But here's the problem. Nobody knows Lucy buys houses. I'm all over the internet, right? So she ends up finding me and working with me just because they found me. The point being, people have to know that you can help them. You don't have to run around with like a stack of cash, you know, like, whoa, cash for houses and throw money, you know, just letting people know, hey, you know, just in real estate, you know, looking for any properties where I can help somebody out. Somebody needs to sell something, or they got an old inherited property, or even if you feel uncomfortable, like you're at work saying that, like, oh no, you know, my buddy Rick, he's been helping me with the real estate. So he's buying houses. So he's just looking for houses that are a little more run down, and somebody that can help out. Say your friend Rick, say your friend Nick, either one of us, you know, just get that conversation going so that people know that they can bring you a deal, and it's free. Somebody can ask me something. Oh, never mind. So kind of back when we were talking about contracting the property, Trek 1 through 4 is great. You can absolutely use it. You can print it off. If you Google Trek 1 through 4, it'll pop up. If not, send me an email. I'll send you a copy. Other contracts are totally legal. It's not like just Trek wrote one, it's legal, and another one's not legal. I would get something that's written by an attorney that's pretty good. You can go grab some ones online, but you got to be careful because people put all kinds of junk online that's wrong, it's outdated. And depending on your title company that you take it to, some will be more comfortable using a 2-page contract or 1-page contract. Everybody's comfortable with the Trek 1 through 4. So if you feel comfortable going through it, and you'll see, even though it's, what is it, 10 pages, you don't need probably 4 or 5 of those pages. There's just words in there talking about tide waters and, if the currents change, and none of that's really going to apply to what we're going to do. So we contracted the property. We'll take it over to the title company. We need this contract receipted. Basically, all that means is that you gave it to the title company. They've accepted it. If there was earnest money, they've accepted the earnest money. So now we've got a third party who's holding on to this. I would go to a title company who has experience working with investors. I would not go to any old title company and say, hey, do you work with investors? Because they'd go, yeah, of course. No, they don't. No, they do not. All right. There are several good ones out there. There's several good escrow officers who have a lot of experience. They're going to know all the terms that you know or you just learned, and they're going to know exactly how to help you kind of structure your deals and clear title. So I would ask for a couple of recommendations on that part. So we're starting the title process. You're putting up some earnest money. They're putting up some earnest money. If you've got an option period, okay, if you are so nervous that something is absolutely going to go wrong, give yourself an option, right? Put down $10 a day. I don't write my contracts with options, mostly because that's part of what I'm selling is, hey, I'm going to take it. There's no get out of jail free. I'm in. If you're so nervous that you can't write yourself an option. Give yourself a 10-day option. A lot of people will take it, especially if there's no competition in there. Write yourself an option, give them $10 a day, put it up. And if you hate it, what'd you lose? $100? All right. If you're going to assign stuff or you're going to move stuff, you're going to need buyers. You're going to need people who can buy deals or people that can consistently buy these deals when they come up. You're going to need some people with experience that aren't going to hem and haw back and forth and that are going to come through. Oh, should I get this giant buyers list of 2,500 people and blast it out? Or should I get a smaller list? Both of them work. I've never had a big list of buyers. Some of that's probably because I get too grouchy. Others is because you blast this thing out. You have no idea who you're dealing with. And I don't want to get partway through a contract and find out that you're not actually going to do it. And I think that a few good quality buyers can buy darn near every house that you want to sell. You don't need many. You need 4 or 5 good ones. You need somebody who buys some expensive stuff because you'll run across that. You need a couple of guys who buy the cheaper stuff. And then everybody can buy a middle income property. And then if you happen to run across somebody who loves mobile homes, get his number, because I don't care where you market, people with mobile homes call you. And if you can make a few bucks by selling them to this guy, you're creating a win-win. Build the list, talk to people. You can do it at meetups. Rick's definitely better at that than I am. I think face-to-face is great. Find out what they're looking to do. My only pet peeve is, don't ask me this question. Like, what are you willing to buy? I literally buy everything. You're bringing the right price, I would buy it. Okay. I would buy my mom's house if she sells it to me at the right price. Doesn't matter. We're just trying to buy some at the right price. So what area do you buy? All of them. All right. I get that a lot of people teach that if it's at the right price, an experienced investor is going to buy that thing, or they're going to help you move that thing. It's fine. Right. Anything you don't buy, that's a much better question. You can build a lot online as far as meeting people and finding some people who can buy your stuff. You got to be careful. A lot of people are super cool online, and then it turns out they bought 0 properties in their whole life. So I think you much better off with somebody with a little more experience, especially if you can meet them in person. Your title company, if they work with a lot of investors, they're going to know which ones are straight. And if you build a relationship there, they will tell you, hey, who's like good, straight guy is going to close and going to do the deal. You get a billion buyers on Craigslist, but you can deal with some specialness. At the end of the day, if you have a good deal to sell, people will buy it. It is not a problem. If it's not selling, it's probably not that good of a deal, or you're asking too much money for it. It's hard to wrap your head around that sometimes, but if it's a good deal, you're going to sell it 1,000% of the time. I'll buy it. Rick will buy it. All you got to do to assign your contract. So when you wrote it as the buyer, just put at the end and/or assigns, just like that. So Rick Pozos and/or assigns. Now you have legal right to assign that contract to somebody else. And then you fill out your assignment page, right? So now, like, we're just transferring our rights to that contract. Okay. Rick has bought my rights to this contract, and he'll get a fee when the contract closes. If you don't have one, email me. I'll send you one. I'll send you an assignment. I'll send you mine. It's one page, super easy. It's not a problem. If you are going to buy from someone wholesaling you something, okay, you need to read what the underlying contract says. Why is that? Because you just signed a piece of paper agreeing to buy this contract, agreeing to do whatever the contract says. Some people don't want to show you because they're going to mad you're looking at their assignment fee or whatever. No. If I'm going to buy it, I need to know what it says, because that's what I'm agreeing to do. So I'm not signing this thing saying I'm agreeing to do it if I don't know what it says. Because you could have written in there that, you know, they get to take all the windows and the doors and 75% of the shingles off the house. Well, I'm not buying that. You know, you can put whatever you want. You take the assignment to the same title company, and then when it comes to close, this is super fun because the seller, your seller, or if you're the seller, that's you. And when the end buyer close, you get your money. Title will cut you a check, or they will wire you the funds. I would stay someone involved, especially if you don't know them. You know, you can't check every day because stuff's not happening every day, but hey, how's the things going? You know, you want to make sure if they're bringing earnest money or something else, or hey, how's the title? If we're clearing the title because it's a little more complicated. Communicate with the people, your sellers. They like it when you communicate with them. I'm still not that good at this because I get behind and I don't think about that. They're not thinking about several deals. They're thinking about their one house. People like communication, letting them know where to go. I started talking a little faster at the end. I would say also this, like, you don't have to wholesale, but you have to have a plan to do something, and you have to know people. So even if you're just going to look to do rentals, off-market deals are the best deals on property. So maybe you feel like being the first one to market to find the deal. Maybe you feel like working with a quality wholesaler that can bring you a deal that you can actually buy at the right price. I think it fits in there. If you are marketing, you should be wholesaling, because I have marketed for way too long, and I've tried to market for very specific things several times, but you are going to get some random calls from some stuff you do not want, right? I bought a mobile home this year. I did not want it. It was almost free, and I had a guy that wanted to buy it. So I wholesaled it. I didn't really want anything to do with it. The point is, you're going to find those things that you don't buy. A lot of people won't buy in neighborhoods that I'll buy in, right? The rougher parts of town. If Joe gets a lead there, why in the world would he not sell me that deal if he doesn't want it, right? Makes money. It allows you to put more money into your marketing if that's what you want to do, or allows you to save more money to buy your next property. Yes, this is my opinion, so take it for what it's worth, but I really do think it should be part of your plan, and it can definitely help you get started. Easiest way to grab me is probably email me. That's the website, but nick@sellmysanantoniohouse.com. But you guys can call me. I'm in the car all the time. If you got a question, or, you know, you got a deal that you think might be a deal, or you were like, man, I was in the worst part of town ever. There's nobody that'll buy over here. I'll probably buy over there. That's my website. That's how I market for a lot of my deals. If you want to check it out, have at it, you know. Other than that, I think, one request. All right. I'm up to like 46 subscribers on YouTube. I put it in the chat. If I have given any value whatsoever, if you could just subscribe, because I got to get to 50 so I can name the channel Sell My San Antonio House on YouTube instead of UV_XY7 something. So if you don't mind, you know, you got to watch the videos. I would appreciate it. Other than that, Jason, you're cool. And what else do we need to get started? So we've got to take some action. So ask any question you want about getting started or about wholesaling, or how are we gonna get moving forward? Let them rip.
How do you handle all of the kind of like contract dates when you're
Mhm.
wholesaling it? Like if you have to put up earnest money within 4 days, but don't find a buyer for 14 days, who pays earnest money? How do they assume the earnest money from you? How does that all work?
So when I write my contract directly to the seller, I will put earnest money, but I'm not going to put very much. Most of the time, I write $25. I believe, and I'm not an attorney, I think $10 is the minimum legal amount it has to be. I'll write $25. Is it $1, Rick? It might be, right? I write $25. I've been questioned on it one time, and he was like, "No, that's got to be at least $100." I'm like, "You twisted my arm, you got it, buddy." Um, it's not something that they're focused on, right? They're motivated. They want to sell their house. That they're not focused on the earnings money. So I'll put that up, and then gives me a certain amount of time in the contract. Um, and if you bought a good deal, you'll find a buyer.
How long is your time to close? Because I'm wondering, I mean, if it's 8 days to close, or if you take 8 days to find a buyer and they need hard money, that's going to take 14 days, and maybe you put 15 days as the contract length.
So
Is that
it's good. So it's a really good question. I base it on the needs of the seller. So if they have to sell in 7 days, it's rare that they have to sell in 7 days, but it does happen. So, okay, we're going to wrap this thing up in a week. But if that's the case, then I would try to get it a little cheaper. So it's much easier for you to sell it in a week. And then you're going to sell it to somebody that's going to pay cash. If they say, "Hey, I get hard money," you're going to say, "Hey man, I appreciate it. We're going to catch you on the next one. I'm going to call Nick because we can push the title through." Now, you also are going to need a relationship with an investor friendly title company that can really push it through. And not all houses can you close that fast, because you just, like, if they're inherited, if there's any questions with the title, it is hard to wrap them up in 7 days. Most people don't need it, right? Most of the time they'll say, "Hey, how fast can you do it?" You tell them, "Hey, we can set up whatever you want, but you've got a lot of stuff in here. I want to give you plenty of time and make sure we get everything good. So let's just put 3 weeks from today, and we'll start with that. And if we need to adjust, we can adjust from there. If everything comes back good and we can slide it up, we'll slide it up for you." Most of the time, people are totally fine with it.
I can tell you that as far as sellers, nobody has ever said anything about how much earnest money. When I first started, I didn't have any money. I would put $10 every time. I used to use West and West to close most of my deals, and they would get the contract, and I'd have my $10 bill or my check for $10 there, and they would look at me and they would go, "Really? Are you serious? Are you really going to close this?" I'm going to close it. Really, I'm going to close it. And they would kind of laugh. The first one or two, they kind of laughed. And after a while, they're like, "All right, okay, Rick. All right, we know this guy. All right, he's all right." And then, yeah, I'd close. Either I'd buy it with hard money or I'd wholesale it or do whatever. And when you know the person, like if I'm going to wholesale something to Nick, I know he's going to buy it. And if he doesn't, he's going to give it to somebody or let somebody else do it. I know it's going to close. If I don't know the person, I'm thinking, "Yeah, I don't know you, buddy. I need to see some sort of proof of funds, and send me a bank statement, something, so I know that you're for real." I've sold some stuff to Nick. He sold stuff to me. He didn't ask for me for a deposit. I didn't even have to, substitute his earnest money or anything. Yeah, he's got $100 he can keep as earnest money until we close. It ain't gonna break him. So yeah, and same thing. It's pretty rare when when I put more than $100 earnest money if it's a motivated seller. This one that I got signed up today, I'll probably put $1,000 earnest money, just because the guy was he was a friend of my plumber, and so I don't know. I couldn't quite read him. So it's like, yeah, just avoid the hassle. Well, maybe we'll put 500 and see what he says. If he says anything, yeah, we'll put more, but 500 or 1,000 ain't gonna, shouldn't break you.
What else we got? Lucy, I know you got questions. Don't be scared.
I always have questions. You're going to learn that from me. If do you usually assign the contracts, or do you prefer more like the double closing? Or
If I know I don't want the property, then I would rather assign it, just because we only have one side of the closing costs. So, yeah, so if I close on it, then I've got additional money that I spent on my closing cost. So then I gotta push that. Then I'm probably gonna charge, if it's, $1,800 more, I'm probably gonna charge Hess $18 more when I sell it to him. So yeah, that's you. So that's why I'd rather just assign it. If you have the money to do it and you don't mind, sure, like close it. Then you got all the time in the world. There are times where they're going to be really hard to sell. We can't get access to them. It's a family and there's like 30 people living in the house. And so I will just like, all right, I know we're just going to buy this. We're just going to buy this and then we'll figure it out. It's tough to have that as part of your plan most of the time starting out because you put a lot of capital out to do that. But assignments are great if you have the right buyer. Do not just go with some Joe you met out of nowhere who didn't put any funds up, who just promises because he's got a rented BMW and a $300 suit. It's not going to close, and you're going to look silly to your seller.
because I have been taking some classes or something online, and I supposedly had to start building my buyer list. I I bought a listing list source of buyers and start cold calling. That, by the way, cold calling is the worst thing in the world. I I get so scared. I don't like it. So I I had a big list. I called and I got like 2 or 3 from that big list, and that's it. The rest I found them in Facebook, in groups in Facebook. And lately I sent them an email letting them know that if they were still investing, and I haven't got answers for anybody. So I said, okay, so I kind of wasted my time with all that list of people that I don't know really. So people
Right. And so one, if you hate cold calling, don't do stuff you don't like to do, right? Meet them on Facebook or email them or just don't do it. Two, and this is my opinion. I hear all these people, you got to build this big buyers list. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so people call me all the time because they took a course and they say, oh, I want to get you on my buyers list because I'm going to sell you 50 properties this year. You're not. No one ever has, and you don't have anything to sell. So you called me to tell me you don't have anything for us to do. It's like, well, cool. And I mean, I try to be nice, but I mean, I get several a week and okay, what do you want to sell? I don't have anything. Oh, well, cool. So my point is I would take that energy, right? One, I would find a way to do it that you're more comfortable, whatever that is, even if it's email, if it's on the internet, if it's walking around the neighborhood, but find a deal. Okay, you want to build a buyer's list, have a smoking good deal, and just blast that thing out everywhere because then everybody wants to be your friend because they want your deals, right? You want to build it in a hurry. You don't take all that energy, find a property at a good price, okay? And then buyers will come find you. You with me?
Yes.
I don't have a course to sell, but I am passionate. So you can do it. Don't be scared.
Thank you.
I'm gonna call on some people.
How does one connect with you if they're interested in seeing or getting on your buyers list?
Shoot me an email. shoot me an email and do this. Here's, this is my other thing. Oh, just send me everything. No, right? What are you going to buy today? Like if I sit, what I know what Todd would buy today. Rick's a little more flexible, so I know what he's going to buy today. So if I see that, I'm going to call him, right? The people that I sell properties to more often, I know exactly what they buy, and I'll call them like, "Did you're going to buy this?" So take some time to think about that, because where does that put you in the long run? So let's say Jason's really thought about it. He knows exactly what he's looking for. I'm really looking for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath on the south side. I don't want to do a foundation repair, but any other rehab I'm good with. Here's where I need to be on my numbers to make it work. If you got that, I'll buy it today. Oh, cool. That's super specific. Oh, I happen to get one of those next month, and I call Jason. What does he do? He buys it. 100% of the time, I will call him the next time I have one. Right? He was very specific. He told me exactly what he was going to do, and I called him, and he did it. If you say just send me everything, 95% of what I would send you is not going to work for you. You're not going to buy it anyway. We're just wasting each other's time. That's what I think. So that I would suggest that really think about what you're going to buy. Because it'll also help you get ready to pull the trigger. But yeah, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email. If you got a question, shoot me an email.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll kick it around.
That answer was really good, and I think that's valuable on your side to ask for that, because you could even go.
I can't hear you.
There.
There we go.
That was a good answer, and I thought that it was spot on. And I think that you're with that information, then you can actually go and look for the things that he's desiring. It kind of builds your targets for you. But one question I was going to ask you again, on kind of on the buyer side, on the other side of that equation, so I get wholesaler emails from people, and it shows, hey, look at this great returns, and they blow up the ARV, and they reduce the repair cost, and the rents look great, and it's just got one picture, and boom.
Mm-hmm.
And so and always it says at the bottom, hey, if you buy it at this, if I'm offering it at 75, but if you buy it at 78, you'll have it first. First person with 78, they get it. And so there's a lot of pressure on the quick early sale like that. And I think that your answer is really good. Makes me kind of rethink about some of that. Whereas the same for you, you don't want to be sending garbage to your buyer list and everything. Same thing on our side too. I'm getting a bunch of garbage from wholesalers that are trying to really mark up their properties, and just trashy stuff that I never gonna buy. Whereas if I'm more specific, and I, like you said, if I find 2 or 3 wholesalers I actually like, then now I have a relationship for a source on that side too, to be able to get the things that I want. And so maybe that's a good way to do it. But I was going to ask, when I'm reviewing those kinds of offers from people, do you have any suggestions for people on the buyer side? You mentioned, I thought I heard you say, make sure you see the original contract. I think that was a good kind of tip, because I wouldn't have necessarily thought of that.
I think throw out all their numbers. All right. I don't know if they're right or wrong. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you what I think it is. Okay. It's my opinion though. Yes, I think I'm right. And no, I don't think I'm lying to you. But on the rehab number, I can tell you what I think it is. And I probably have more experience than most, but dude, I'm wrong all the time, right? We miss stuff all the time. Put your own number on it. Okay. If they're masked shooting it out there, the ARV is too high, the rehab's too low, and who'd you get the email from? I get them all the time that, hey, this is owner finance ready. Oh, awesome. Cool. How many owner finance deals have you done? 0. Oh, so you based that on 0 knowledge. You just put it in an email. What are you talking about, man? So you got to step back. If I would step back and I would try to get around that massive list. I think it's I think it's tough, especially when you're starting, because they're like, hey, you got to buy this or it's gone. It's probably not the case. You need to buy that if it fits your numbers. So if you really know what you want, if you took the next hour after we hung up and you thought about like, what's the one thing I want to buy? And I'm not going to get distracted by anything else that comes along, right? If you send me a triplex, I'm deleting the email. If you send me a 2-bedroom on the east side, I'm deleting the email. This is really what I'm going to buy. Then you're honed in and you know what you're looking for, especially when you're starting, because you only need one. You got to buy one house right now. No, we all want to buy 100. Okay. You buy one. So focusing on that. And what do I got to do to buy one house? What exactly is that house that I'm going to buy? Okay. Derek knows exactly what he's going to buy. Here's where my numbers have to be. Is this my house? Nope. You can make him an offer, right? Tell him yay or nay. But this is Derek's number. Here's where the numbers work for me. Oh, well, we're selling it at this. Hey, I understand, man. If you don't sell it, give me a shout back. Maybe we can catch up on the next one. I just think these massive emails with lies on the numbers are the wrong thing to do. I'll tell them that if they want to call me. You can't trust somebody else's numbers. You can trust your numbers or somebody that you can trust that can help you verify them, because they're trying to sell something, which I don't have anything against selling something, but they're trying to sell you something. So the used car salesman telling you it's a great car doesn't mean it's a great car, right? It may be a great car, may not. So I think you've got to verify the numbers. I like the idea of making a connection with a few people, especially people who maybe don't have 10,000 buyers, and put yourself as a resource, right? So if I'm that guy and you told me exactly what you're looking for, Derek, that's all you're going to buy anyway. You're not going to buy a 16-plex, right? But you are going to buy this other thing. Tell me what it is. I send it to you. You buy it. And then we're best friends.
Yeah. All right.
Lucy, you're on mute. Lucy, you're still muted.
Sorry, I thought I did it. Sorry. You're talking about, you were saying about that somebody who hasn't had any deals or something, that you don't have the authority like to talk about things that, but looking at my side like a beginner, I say, okay, if somebody asks me how many deals have you done, I have to say 0. So it's kind of like bad for me because I don't have the experience.
We're saying two different things, right? So if you come to me and you say, hey, Nick, I found this deal. I'd like to assign the contract. I would like to assign it for $85,000. Do you know how much information Rick needs? I need the address and the price. I don't need anything else from you. Okay. So if you come to me and you say, oh, Nick, I got this rehab at 15,000 total. Oh, awesome. How many rehabs you done? 0. Oh, cool. So you just made this number up. You literally pulled a number out of the sky and told me these were facts. Then I'm probably going to beat you up on it a little. But if you said, hey, I have a house. It's under contract. I want to sell it. I'd like to assign the contract to you for $85,000. Awesome. You told me nothing but the truth. If it's a good deal, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut you a check, Lucy. Right? If it's not, I'm going to say, hey, you might be a little off the mark here. Okay. And I would probably try to help you see if we can work it out. Right? Rick would be like, hey, you really need to sell this at 65. So go back and see if you can get it at 60.
Okay.
And Rick not going to be mad at you. See? We're getting there. We're getting there.
But the other thing that in my case I feel is when I am trying to talk to a seller or something, is like kind of, I feel like, okay, I have never done this. And if the seller kind of asks me, okay, how many deals have you done, or have you sell other houses or something, how can I tell him, no, this is my first one? Should I lie or what?
I don't like lying. I would say this, not as many as I want to do. Okay. Let's focus on you, see how we can help you out.
That's a
I
one.
get asked how many, like, I get asked several times a year, you know, how many houses do you buy? But I talk to hundreds of people a year. Right now, you're making up problems that we ain't even got to yet, Lucy,
Yes,
right? Nobody's even asked you that.
yes.
So, and I'm not picking on you because we all do it. I did it. Everybody's done it. Rick did it. A lot of us will do it. Let's focus on what's right in front of us. Okay.
Here, yes.
Right. If you had to pick, because you get to pick one thing that's stopping you from moving forward. If I told you that, that wouldn't be your thing. Right. So just like one step at a time, pick the one thing you got to work on right here. And I'm going to tell you, here's the answer. Okay. It's either money or deals or finding deals. There's no other options. So I'm going to pick out one, two. You need to find more money or you need to find more deals. I promise. Let's work on that. And the rest of it, we don't need to lie. Also, really motivated sellers, they don't ask me how many properties I buy. They don't care. They want to know if I can solve their problem. I can. You can too. Find somebody that you can help, right? Put on the Lucy smile, and then you'll be okay. I promise.
Thank you.
You bet.
And that's one of the biggest things is finding somebody who needs to sell their property. And that's the problem with MLS. They want to sell their property to buy a bigger house. You know, why would they sell their $200,000 house for $100,000? There's no reason to. But somebody who owns a $200,000 house, who's getting divorced, who's been there for 25 years, they already have the mortgage paid for, and you know, kids in jail, or you know, kids having surgery, or they lost their job, or those are the folks that'll sell it cheaper. You know, just any old person, you know, they're not going to sell it cheap. They have to have some pain, and you're there to fix their pain. You know, like I said earlier, sometimes it's, you know, they owe 180, but it's a $200,000 house. Okay, take over their payments. I mean, you're not going to buy it at 70%, but maybe you can take over their payments, keep it as a rental. Maybe you can do a wraparound mortgage. Maybe you can do other things, but you got to find out what their pain is and how can you help them. I just sold one today. I just signed on a closing, and the couple was getting divorced. It was worth about 250, and they owed, it was 200 on the first, and then about 8 or 9 on the second. So it was about 210 total, and it was worth 250. And I thought, man, that's, you know, it's 40,000. You got to clean it up, do a little work, and by the time you sell it, you know, the realtor fees and everything, there's really not much in it. I said, you know, the only thing I can do is take over your payments. I can't really get you any money or anything. And they both said, we don't need any money. We just want to be out. Perfect. That's
So
what I did.
when you take over their payments, I mean, do you establish any equity in the property? Will you at some point have the option to buy it from them, or are you just netting on you rent it out for X and your payments are Y and you take the profit?
Well, what I did was, so the balance is just under 210. It's worth about 250. Okay. So I got the deed. So they deeded the house to me. So it's my house. It gets foreclosed on if I don't keep making their mortgage payments, right? So I paid one mortgage payment. A buddy of mine says, hey, do you have any rentals? And I said, oh, you know what? I do. I said, go look at this one. Here's the address. Here's the price. I told him 230. I figured, you know, let's not get greedy, right? I'm going to make some money, and it's going to be below market for him. So, and I knew he can close, and he looked it up. He called his property manager. He says, hey, how much can I rent that for? And then he figured out what his mortgage was going to be, and he was going to do 20% down, or 25% down. And so he said, yeah, it works. If I put this much down, this is my mortgage payment, this is the rent, I'm going to make, you know, I don't even know how many, 400 and something dollars, $500 he was going to make. And he said, that works for me. I'll take it. What do I need to do? And I said, well, let's get a contract. Let's get going. And, you know, I just sold it today. And I think it was 16 something that, well, 17. And then I paid one mortgage payment. So it was about 15 that I netted on it. So
Do you have any concerns when you do that the lender would call it due? There's no
No.
wraparound.
No, because I wasn't gonna hold it very long. I was actually gonna put some dirt around the foundation, cut the grass, trim some trees. And before I did anything, right after they moved out, he happened to call and I should have called him because I knew he was looking for rentals. And, but I didn't do anything. He says, don't do anything else. I want it as cheap as I can. I have a handyman there and he can do it. And I said, great, no problem. So they had a second mortgage that didn't have any payments and it was going to start getting forgiven after so many years, but it hadn't gotten there yet. So, and they're the ones who might have said something, but they didn't, the title company. And I emailed the title company. I said, hey, when you call for the payoff on the second, don't tell them that Rick Pozos owns this property. Tell them that Caitlin and Marcos still own it, or don't even tell them anything. I said, just call and say that it's getting sold and you want the payoff. And they did. Nobody asked. If I was going to keep it long-term, then yeah, we would have either done a wraparound mortgage, which may have worked, it works sometimes, but yeah, it might get called due and you have to refinance it or do something else. But they wouldn't have sold it to me for just the loan balance if they were just, well, let's buy a bigger house. It's time, the kids and this and that. There's got to be some pain. And, I asked them, I told them, this is what I can do. Will that work for you? And they said, yeah, that'll work. We don't need any money. Okay, great. I'll do it. If they would have said, no, I need at least 5,000 each, he needs 5 and she needs 5. I would have said, nah, you know what? I'm probably not the one to buy this property from me. List it with a realtor and maybe they can help you. Getting to know some people and what their criteria is, like Nick was saying, that is the best thing. A friend of mine called me. He said he wanted to sell his mom's house, and he knew because he's seen it on Facebook. I do videos, and so he knew I'd buy houses. So he said, "Come look at the house." When I looked it up, I knew where it was. I knew the price range that it was, and I already knew Todd was going to buy it. Right, Todd? I knew that's where he likes properties. He has a mid-range properties, nothing too crazy expensive, doesn't like the ugly ones. And I just said, hey, Todd, I'm going to go look at this house today. I think you're going to buy it. He says, oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
I just don't understand. Yeah. I'm just waiting for that phone call to come again, man. We're ready. We're overdue.
I'm looking, man. I'm looking. But yeah, it's because I know
No,
Todd,
it's
I've talked to him enough. I've seen him at meetings. I know he's for real. He's got a few rental.
yeah, and it's fantastic when Rick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was breaking up a little bit, but it was great for us too, because we didn't, we've wasted a lot of time looking at wholesaler deals and they're not what they were represented. But yeah, it was pretty straightforward. We walked it and we invested about 20 minutes and made a decision, and it's turned out to be great. And first, we put a nice rehab into it, and it's been rented for 3 years to the same person. So it's working out great, and it's appreciating a little bit every year. So it was an outstanding transaction. And I don't know, Rick, how many calls you had to make, but I mean, it was pretty straightforward on our part. So.
Yeah. I mean, I know Todd enough that I knew exactly, when I was telling my wife, who's right here next to me, I said, oh, I'm going to go look at Julio's mom's house. And he goes, oh yeah. Okay. And she says, all right, well, great. And I said, I think it's for Todd. And she goes, oh, really? He'll buy it? And I said, yeah, I think so. I said, we're going to get it at a good price, and we're going to get it to Todd, good price. And yeah. She goes, oh, okay. All right. So it was, one call, it's done. You don't need 1,000 buyers and, try to get, oh, well, he'll pay 250. Maybe I can get somebody to pay 260 and then 262 and 265. And, if you're getting somebody a good deal, they're going to come back and they're going to buy more from you. You don't have to maximize every single penny on every deal. If you're doing the right thing, you're going to keep getting more and more and more deals. So treat people right. And that's another thing. I've gotten so many referrals from other people. I've bought a property from somebody, and then they, their kids or their parents or cousins or somebody else says, oh, well, my coworker, a cousin and a friend and a mailman's sister, will call me and say, oh yeah, you bought my cousin's sister's friend's house last year. Oh, okay, great. And then it's just figuring out what you can do to help them. And that's usually the first question is, why are you selling? What's wrong? And if they say nothing, I just want to sell my house. Okay, I'm gonna get you my realtor's number and let them take care of you. Because if there's no reason to be at a discount, there's no reason to talk to me. And then when they keep you on the phone for 20, 30 minutes or an hour, that's when I know I'm going to buy the house. Because they say, I ask them, so what's going on? Why are you selling? Oh man, let me tell you. I know it's going to be good. Tell me all your problems, your issues, everything that's going on. And you have to be able to filter it out. And yeah, I feel bad that, the kids are still living at home and the kids are in their 50s and they've never left the house. And, mom's 85 and, all kinds of issues with the kids. And, I feel for her, but, I still have this price that I can pay you for the house. And she's probably going to say yes, because she just wants to get out and go into a nursing home or a, housing project or something that they'll pay the rent for her. She wants to be away from the kids that she's raised, and they're still there 50 years later. So just find some folks with problems.
Separate conversation, but Rick, you basically have the Bigger Pockets manifesto to neighborhoods in San Antonio that I'm sure many of us here have seen. I'm curious how, two parts, both how do you feel that holds up now? It's been a few years, I think, since you wrote the first draft. And second, you did make comments on areas that you thought were a little bit more questionable, but with potential upside, like the 78202 sort of east side neighborhood. How do you think that has tracked over the years?
I bought a house, I think in 04, 03, 04, something like that, on St. James Street. And I think it's 78202. I think it's in, if it's not in Dinwiddie, it's right by it. It's right by the graveyard, like a block away. And everybody was saying, oh man, that's a great area. It's coming up, it's happening, it's turning. Just me personally, I don't like it. I
It's
love
still turning.
Yeah, it's still turning. 20 years later, it's still turning. I love the architecture, beautiful bungalow houses, some turn of the century stuff, really beautiful houses. I love them. Pine Street has the big columns. I love it. But I couldn't live there. I couldn't, I'll wholesale a house, I'll rehab a house, but I definitely don't want a rental over there. It's too, I think it's too close to the bad element. And the bad element's right there in New Braunfels. If you ever go to the HEB on East Houston and New Braunfels, oh my God, that is crazy. I stopped there once, and I bought a house on Houston, and I bought it and sold it. And I said, oh man, I'm gonna get a soda and some chips. And I walked in there, and oh my God, it was crazy. It was crazy. And I got in the car and I just said, no, this isn't for me. And actually my second house was on, I don't know, it was on the bad side of New Braunfels, farther east. And I bought it for something like $12,000 in, I think in 03, and ended up selling it for 20, 22, 23. And there's I make money over there, but I definitely don't want to hold anything over there. I wouldn't mind owner financing something over there. Buy it, let somebody else rehab it, or let somebody else live there. And I wholesaled Nick a house over there on what was it?
Crockett?
Houston? Crockett, yeah,
Crockett.
Crockett. Yeah. And I went in there, looked around. I said, "Got to call Nick."
And I take offense because I have a rental right there on Potomac, which is one street over from that HEB. And okay, it's slightly dicey. You got to be careful playing that game of, hey, this is going to turn around and be great in a few years, because I think it's much better idea to, all right, let's buy something that works right now, right? Cash flows, works right now, makes money now. And if it happens to appreciate greatly, awesome. Because you'll get lucky as you do a few. And I've definitely got lucky in some areas like, man, I can't believe that house is worth that much now. But when you get into these spots where they were selling for 80 and now people are trying to sell them for 270 a week later, that you can get hurt. And you don't know when yours is going to fall into that giant part of the appreciation, if it's going to. So just having that as your factor, I think you're taking a lot of risks that you don't need to take. Look for things that work now. And if you happen to catch the upside, hey, way to go.
I think you're in Austin, right, Jason?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, I worked for Luby's in Austin in 92, 93. And 35, you did not go east of 35. That was just like, do not do it. You will get killed over there. But it's Austin. Austin has a lot, Dell was, growing. Every tech company was growing over there. There was all kinds of money coming in, and it's still coming in. People are moving from San Francisco, from everywhere to go to Austin. So there's tons of money coming in over there. So yeah, after I saw people with lots of money coming in, when you go out west to, what is it, 2222, I think it is, and Capital of Texas Highway and all that, you see all that money over there, and there's just tons of money. So everything's going to come up. And that's why there's so many skyscraper condominium places downtown. There's a few, San Antonio, and San Antonio's what, 1.5 million people or something, a little bit bigger than Austin, and we don't have near as many as Austin, but there's a reason for it. There's a lot more money over there. And that's why East Austin just went crazy, because there was just no room. And then you have the golden cheeked warbler. If they find one on a property, you can't build there like forever. So there's all these properties you can't build on. So that makes land more scarce. So
This
Yeah.
one's new to me, and I just bought some property to build on.
Uh-oh.
Have to go look at that.
Well, as long as it's right in the city, no problem. It's when you
Okay.
get farther northwest, Cedar Park. Yeah.
Okay.
There was some areas out there. A friend of mine he worked for a developer right out of college in early 90s. Oh my God. The state, they would put, at the time, tape recorders out in trees, and they were like a sound activated. If they heard the sound of a golden cheek warbler, they would like, can't build here, can't do it. We're endangered species. We're invading their habitat, and it was crazy. But anyway, but yeah, I think you can make money in just about any area if you buy it right and you're helping somebody with their problem. Like Nick said, I don't like to. That's a little more gambling as far as San Antonio, the east side. Some people think it's great, and then they're buying, they're putting rentals. I just hear every day how there's another shooting, there's another drug deal, there's another something going on over there. And it's all right around New Braunfels. So that's just me. But there's a lot of rehabs happened.
Looking up New Braunfels Street. I think I have an idea of where it is. But looking
35
it
in New
up right
Braunfels.
now.
Solid area. Solid. What's going on, Lynn?
Nothing, I'm just soaking it all in and really I wanted to come back and ask a question on the lending side, because I'm with a private lender, private money lender. And I'm just trying to network too and build up my portfolio. But I had one question I wanted to come back to you on, Nick, because you were telling Lucy this. If you're just upfront and honest and you just give the solid numbers and details. Like I'm reaching out to some people, or people on Facebook and saying they're needing to find a lender. They need help with finding funding. But many times they're not willing to give up, information like you had pointed out. You just need an address too. What's the property address? They're telling me things that, I'm just looking at this one response I got, they're looking to offer equity interest, short-term project in a good market. They're telling me the ARV is at 130 to 151. But that's all the information this person wants to give me, but yet they're looking for lending. They're looking for funding. So my question is, why, if they're needing help, should I, is this a serious buyer? If they're not even wanting to come forth with any more information, because of course I need more information than what they're telling me to, pull comps and see what they're looking at. And I'm like, I want to be able to help these people, but when they're not forthcoming, what do I just say, thanks, we'll try again when maybe you're ready. If you have more funds, do you have a guarantor or whatnot? It's weird. I'm really running into this on the lending side. They're not very forthcoming at all.
I think they're probably not super experienced. People are very scared that people are going to steal their deals. It does happen, but it doesn't happen quite like I think people are scared it's going to happen. I think you just send back, okay, well, if the numbers are this, right? If the ARV, if the appraisal comes back, the ARV is 150 and your purchase price is this, and we have a scope of work that shows the rehab is this, then yes, I would be interested in funding that deal at this cost, right? At 2 points, 10%, whatever your number is. And I send that back. Or because, at some point they got to tell you where it's at, right?
Yeah.
You're not run on some air. I would just send back what you could do if the numbers meet it. Okay. And if they say, oh, well, my numbers don't meet that, well, you're not going to lend on it anyway, right? Because it's a skinny deal. So I would just send back what you can do at what numbers and see if that works. And then I would keep moving on. I don't, we always need more money. Everybody in this business needs more money, but when you get more and more experience, you tend to have access to some more money. So it would be unlikely that I would just call you out of nowhere, unless somebody had referred me to Lynn or said, hey, Lynn is just throwing cash around.
Right.
Something on those lines. Like there would have to be some reason for the connection. That's how I would handle it. I would just send back, well, or send back, hey, in order to review your deal, we need to know these things about the property. ARV, comps, purchase price, rehab scope of work, something like that. Neighborhood, general location, right? Major crossroads, something. Right. If they can't tell you the major crossroads, they don't have a deal. Because you're not going to, if I tell you New Braunfels in 35, you're not going to go check every house to see which one I'm trying to contract,
Right.
Like 1,000
exactly.
houses.
Well, and it's kind of like you were saying, like how Rick was saying, East Austin, I was in school
about Montopolis.
at that.
Montopolis. A solid hood.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was like. Back then in the 90s, mid 90s, by the airport, that wasn't an area you wanted to go to. But yeah, now that's a huge thriving area. But like you said, yes, I can tell it's a new investor, and I don't want to put them off starting off in the game. It's like someone like Lucy, you want to encourage everyone. And I want to encourage these people that are reaching out looking for funds. But I'm thinking, if you don't have any skin in the game and you're not going to give me any details, I don't want to be rude either, but I'm like, come on, give me something to work with.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to be rude. Just reply that, hey, thanks for reaching out. In order to fund the project, we do need this information about the deal. When you get a chance, please send it back to me. Look forward to working with you. Most people are not going to reply to that email. You weren't rude. You gave them a chance. It's on them.
Yeah.
That would be my thought.
Okay.
Or just lend your money to Rick. Rick will borrow your money. He will. I'm telling you, he will.
Hey, and well, that's what I'm here to, is network, because everyone, there's
Yep.
always a right situation for private money. There's always,
Got that
there's going to
right.
be a situation for that. And that's what I like too. But it's like you said, I'm here networking and figuring out too, the right approach, because every situation is different. Every market's very different. I just don't want to hone in where I'm at just here in the Southwest. And the company I'm with, we have a huge extensive network of lenders. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out just the right approach too. So appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
I have a question for Rick and Nick, and anybody else who knows more experience about wholesaling. Is, when I first started out, I didn't try to make the buyer seller list. Like, my biggest thing was trying to network with people. And when I tell them, I first started by telling them, hey, I'm a wholesaler. And I think a lot of people tend to say, or tend to turn their back on you because they don't want to be spammed with emails. And then so I stopped introducing myself as a wholesaler, more as a real estate investor. And that was a better response with how people talked with me. And I guess my question is how do you put more trust? And because I know credibility is pretty important. And like Nick, like you mentioned earlier, if you give them the address and the price, like, that's all you really need. Like, everything else is just fluff. So how do you establish yourself as a wholesaler where people trust you and they don't make you think like you're just like another con man or salesman trying to take their money and establish? Or how do you also establish, that, hey, I want you to win just as much as I'm going to win from this deal? So if y'all have anything to add on that, be greatly appreciated.
I've got a ton to add on this. Do what you say you're going to do. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. I paid a $22,000 assignment fee the other day. Okay. I smiled when I did it because we were going to make money. I don't care. I think, don't lie. It's okay if you don't know. But if you go to an experienced investor and you told him a whole bunch of lines of crap, he's going to know it's all crap. And why would I think that anything else that you say to me is not part of your crap? Right? It's okay. Hey, you're a real estate investor. You want to sign a contract. Fantastic. If it's a good deal, then I want to be buddies. Tell the truth. Tell them what you know and tell them what you don't know. Really? What do I need? I need the address and the price. If we're on the phone and I think it's a little questionable, it'd be like, have you seen it? Anything major? Like, what's it look like? Right? Because if I know it's a spot where I can pay 40 to 60 and you're at 58 and you're like, dude, the whole thing, it's half burnt. Cool. I can't pay 58. I know we're way off. I might ask you just some general stuff. Tell the truth. Okay. Don't try to squeeze every dime out of things. Like I bought stuff, even people I bought several properties for, they couldn't sell it. And they're like, dude, you got to buy it. You got to buy it. I'm like, man, dude, we got to buy this house at 73. It's a 73,000. No, I don't have enough in it. I don't have any money. I don't make anything at 73. Do the 75. And I did it because of the relationship. Okay. And there's a $10,000 assignment fee on there. And now I'm mad because you lied to me about how you weren't making any money. You cried and whined because you were trying to squeeze a couple of grand out of this deal, and you soured our entire relationship. When I've already bought 5 houses from you, I would have bought 5 more. Tell the truth, work with people, don't try to squeeze every dime, and just tell them what you know. And that's it. And don't be full of crap. And then you become a stand-up guy, whether your deal works or not. What do you think, Rick?
I agree. And also, I like to make friends with people. I like to know people. How can I help you? How can we work together? How can we do something? And if we can't, that's okay. Let's go have a beer anyway. Let's, talk about family, friends, history, whatever. And when you know the person, when you get to know them a little bit, you tend to trust them a little bit too. And the people that, take me out for a beer or something, I'm going to remember them a little bit more than seeing them one time on a Zoom meeting and never again. And then 3 years from now, hey, Rick, I got this deal. Remember me? I'm the guy from the Zoom meeting 3 years ago. Shit, I don't remember. Now, if it's, remember I bought you lunch last week, I'm going to remember you. And, or, when we were at meetings and stuff too, just talking, getting to know people. And I never know how I'm going to help somebody or somebody's going to help me. And if the transaction never happens, that's okay too. I spend a lot of time and energy into relationships. I put a lot of time and energy, and again, without any thought of this guy's going to do this for me. I just have to get to know him better. No, it's just, hey, it seems like a cool guy. He was a pilot. He was almost a pilot. He was, he lives in a dusty West Texas town, border town. Okay, that's kind of cool. All right. You get to know people without the intention of what can they do for me. And what I end up doing is I end up giving to other people, especially on bigger pockets. I mean, I think it's over 1,000 posts already. And, my wife sometimes asks me, why are you're telling everybody everything? It's like, it's okay. You put out enough good word and, it'll come back to you somehow. Maybe not from that person directly, but it'll come back from somebody somewhere. And it has. I mean, I've helped people, and then a friend of theirs has money to lend, and they say, hey, Rick, I heard you're looking for money. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Well, you help my friend, and I can help you, and it all, when they say what comes around goes around comes around.
It's like that, the golden rule, they all fit in there. They're all right. Don't lie, tell the truth.
Yeah.
Find good deals. That's all you got to do, man.
And
Focus all your time and energy.
Follow-up question with that is, so I'm in, as you know, the Del Rio, it's like you said, it's dusty, no action going on there, but the few title places, I've reached out to one, and they've never worked with real estate investors in the past. And so, okay. Yeah. But if there is no one that's really worked with real estate investors or wholesalers, what is my next bet of trying to do? Like, should I find a title company in another city or
Find
close
a deal.
by? Like, what's that?
Find a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have somebody who's wanting to sell a property to you at a good price, look up abstract company, because that's what they call a title companies in the smaller towns. Usually it's an abstract company or abstract and title company or something like that. But there's usually a Alamo or a Chicago, or there's a few of the national companies. But if not, just drive down Main Street. There's got to be one there. Or you can look in the deed records and look for some documents, and they'll have the title company name across the top and a GF number, which is, I don't even know what that means, but there's a GF number. It's their serial number for the transaction. But you should be able to find out. There's got to be a title company there.
Okay.
Yeah, find other investors who buy more houses, right? Look up on property records, find some dude that owns 20, 25 houses, get to a local meetup, or find somebody in the local area that buys a bunch. They're using a certain title company for a certain reason, and that title company therefore works with investors. If they were opening like we never work with investors, you were just on down the road, man. You're just cruising for a headache, because there is one. You just haven't run into them.
Okay.
But don't put, yeah, you're going to need one. But Rick's point, like, you've got to find a deal. Like, a lot of people fall into the trap of solving all the problems that they haven't got to yet. You're not the first guy, the second guy, the last guy. I've done it, Rick. I'm sure Rick's done it. Your problem isn't that you don't have a title company. Your problem is you don't have a deal. And tomorrow, if you get a title company, your problem is going to be you don't have a deal. And then if you go get a private lender, your problem is still you don't have a deal. If you had a deal, then maybe we have those other problems. My point is not to pick on you. My point is to make sure that everybody who's really having trouble getting started, really getting stuck, what's my real problem? It's probably finding a deal.
Yep.
So I need to focus my energy on that and spend 95% of my time on that. And if you do, then once you find the deal, call me. I will solve those problems for free. If you find your first deal, I will find you a title company in El Paso. I'll even find you a buyer. I bet you. Just find the deal. You'll be all right.
Got it. Yeah, and that's something I've come to realize as well, is like that I've been trying to, I guess, put my ducks in a row, just make sure I at least sound knowledgeable in what I need to do to make a quick, fast wholesale deal and quickly close. But I guess, like what I keep hearing is, just find that deal and everything will fall into place.
That down. Good. You just got to focus on what you really, really need. It happens a lot. It happens to all of us. Yeah, if you find it, it will.
And when you do find that person that needs to get out of their property, you don't have to give them an exact price, exact terms on the first meeting. When somebody calls me, and I'll look it up on the computer just to see what the tax appraisal is. And I'll say, I got to pre-qualify them a little bit. So, I'll look it up, and, maybe it's 150 on the tax rolls. And I'll say, so what's going on? How's the house? Why are you leaving? Blah, blah, blah. They start telling me, well, it needs a roof. It needs this. Okay. If it's 150 on the tax rolls, I'm probably going to be somewhere around 75, more or less, but I got to see the house. And then you just listen. If they say, well, that sounds about right. Okay, good. They're ready. They're motivated. They want to sell. If they say 75, oh my God, it's not that bad. I need at least 120. Well, I'm probably not the one then. You already told me it needs a new roof. It needs this, it needs that. You're already talking $30,000 in repairs. And I don't know if it's 30,000, it might be 22, it might be 18. I'm just going to throw a number out there. And if they don't sound like they're that motivated, it's okay. You can just say, just with all the repairs you're telling me, I'm probably not the one, but I can probably find a realtor for you, or I can find another investor for you. I mean, I've called other people and said, hey, call this guy, make him an offer. And you just kind of get a rough idea and then go look at it. Say, well, yeah, okay. Yeah. You said the roof was bad. Yeah. It looks pretty bad. And yep, this, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it does need some work. Okay. Well, now that I got to see it, let me talk to my partner and, maybe he'll want to come out here, but let me get you a closer number, a better number. And before you call them the next day, that's when you find somebody from the Zoom meeting, you talk to somebody there in Del Rio, or, talk to somebody else and say, hey, look, come back with me to this house. It looks like it's good. They're motivated. It looks like it's going to be a good deal. And let them quarterback it and tell them, hey, you do the deal. Give me $1,000. I want to learn everything from you. Maybe that'll work.
One more question I had. We kind of talked about wholesalers will inflate their after repair value. And what is the best way have y'all found to get the most accurate number? I've seen a few things online that like group it into tiers of different types of projects. Like if it's just a minor, and you can do like $15 per square foot or something like that. Or I even thought about, possibly calling up different companies that do special needs or special types of repair and just seeing what they quote at and then using that. But am I, overdoing too much work at that time, at that point? Or I'm just curious on what y'all had on that.
You want to know how to do the rehab costs? All right. Three bedroom, 2 bath, 1,500 square foot house.
Mhm.
We're going to start with that one. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,500 square feet. You just have to redo all the inside. No majors. Just the inside's $28,000. Okay. Start with that. If it's smaller and less stuff, it's going to be less than that. Okay. If it's bigger and it's a 4 bedroom and it's 2,200 square feet, it's going to be more than that. It's $28,000. The roof is $5,000. It needs a roof. Okay. HVAC, call it 6, right? If the foundation is messed up, you're not good enough to get that number. You need someone to tell you what that number is. As you go along farther, you get really good at kind of estimating about what that's going to be. Don't try to do it when you're starting. You're like 100% going to be wrong. What else do we need to know? But if you took those numbers and you kept it simple, right? Roof's $5,000. If it needs HVAC, it's 6. And I know that if it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and 1,500 square feet, it's $28,000 to rehab the thing. There you go. If it's bigger, it needs more stuff, and it's worse, right? If you go in, this thing's just gross, add some money. It's going to cost more. Okay.
No,
If you go
no
in,
majors.
you're like, man, just need a little bit. You're all right. What's that?
No majors. Does that get kitchen and bath as well?
Yes. That's no majors. But when I say majors, I'm saying foundation, roof, HVAC, major plumbing. And is that going to be the exact number? No. Is that the number I'm going to put on a house? No. But if you don't know anything, right, and that's what's stopping you, take those numbers. You're going to be pretty darn close. I looked at a 3.2 that we just put together a 3.2, needs a roof and HVAC, 1,400 square feet, and we're right at 40. So that's what, 28 plus what, 10, it's 39 plus this one's a little grosser. It's about that. You're going to be close enough that you can probably make an offer and be in the ballpark, right? And if you get in there, so if it's a 4 bedroom, 2 bath, and it's 1,950 square feet, it's more than 28, right? Take it up and start with that, and then don't overthink it. At least you're in the ballpark. That's what I think.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys, everything you guys have said. I'm learning a lot just from this networking event. I just had one quick question before I'm going to have to sign off. But I think Jason mentioned that you had that Rick, you had a sort of a rundown of all the neighborhoods in San Antonio, somewhere on Bigger Pockets. I was just looking for that and I couldn't find it. I was wondering if you knew where I could get a hold of that. That sounds like something very useful.
I think it was somebody was just saying something about it, and I I probably ranted one day about it.
I can see if I pull it up. I hope it was you. I think that's what led me to you actually.
If it was a
ultimately,
rant,
but-
it was probably Rick.
Perfect, a Rick rant.
I don't know. Sometimes, like I said, if somebody's annoying me, I just go crazy a little bit.
I was gonna
My
say,
wife
I don't
said-
think it was like his, it wasn't a post from you. I mean, it was like you were replying to some other item,
Okay.
I think.
Cool. Well, I'll search for that then. Then I guess the only other thing I had was question that I had was about door knocking. I don't know if either of y'all do that. I saw, there's a investor up in Seattle who goes door knocking, and he's has a lot of different strategies that he uses for himself, and he's a real estate agent. So it kind of reminded me, Nick, with what you were saying about, not everything's going to fit into what exactly we're all trying to do. And so having those extra options of wholesaling it or finding another investor or getting the finder's fee, whatever, monetizing all the leads we come into. Anyway, the question is just like, what do you ever do, like door knocking? What is like he mentioned that, I don't even know what that looks like in terms of real estate lead generation. Is it like driving for dollars, but you just go knock on the doors specifically, or you're just, I don't know.
Kind of. I wouldn't do it in that neighborhood over by that HEB.
Right.
It takes a certain personality. Can you find deals like it? I guarantee it. But I only guarantee it because if you make a system and you do it consistently, you will do it. And you have to be a personal guy and be good with people. Have I ever done it? No, it's not for me. It's not what I'm going to do.
Cool.
Most of it is something like this. They're usually looking for one that looks a little questionable, little run down, and they're knocking on that door. Maybe nobody answers. Maybe they're knocking on the neighbor's door and saying, hey, sorry to bother you. My name's Eric. We were actually fixing up this house that was kind of run down, right down, and I saw this one was maybe a little down. You don't happen to have, who owns that one, and then trying to get if they want to sell it or nobody's there, trying to get the information, and you're trying to build that information. There's one guy I know who his name's Aaron, and he was good. He's good with people, and he's a big old dude too. But he would door knock and find deals, and he would just go down and just walk down, and he would actually map out the neighborhood so he didn't keep going down the same places. And then if he thought about one, he's had it in his phone where he'd star it so he would come back if he didn't get to him. But
Interesting.
you're also going to get some people that tell you to politely go fly a kite,
I'm fine with that.
So if you're fine with that and that's your thing, cool. But don't go knock on 3 doors and be like, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Say, hey, I made a plan over the next 3 months where I can hit all these neighborhoods where I can hit, and here's my entire system because I put some thought into it. So if I'm Eric and I'm going to be the door knock guy, I'm gonna be the best door knock guy in San Antonio. You will get a deal if you approach it like that way. So that's my thoughts.
And that's how I started, was door knocking. Pre-foreclosures. It was going to sale on the first Tuesday of the month. As soon as I could, before that, I would, get the list. I would go knock on the door. Hi, how you doing? I'm Rick. I know that, they're going to be selling your house soon. I just thought you might want to sell it. And close the door, slam the door in my face. Okay, that's one. Got 99 more to go. Go to number 2 and number 3. And, it works. I was working at the time and I knew I wanted to leave, and I started doing it because I was wanting to leave. I'm sure it showed, and they said, you got to go. And I said, great. Now I have more time to knock on doors. And I knocked on another couple hundred more doors. I found a house, knocked on 50 more, found a house, 40 more, found a house, 30 more, found a house. And after a while I said, I don't want to do this shit no more. So I started sending postcards, but I was doing postcards every cycle. And I kept getting deals. And everybody would say, oh my God, what does your postcard look like? And I'd show them, and they'd go, oh, that's kind of ugly. I'm like, well, okay, yeah, it still works. I'm sure if it was beautiful, glossy, pretty, it would have worked better, but it worked. And over time, I changed and changed and changed. And yeah, now I have a nice one side's glossy postcard and it works. But anything works if you do it enough.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
All right. Well,
I have to jump off.
yeah, we're a little after 8:30, a little late. Thanks everybody for coming out. And if you need anything, I'm on Bigger Pockets every morning at about 6:30, just about every day. My phone number's on there on my Bigger Pockets profile. Facebook, Basima Investments is also a Facebook of mine. Frugal Real Estate Guy is another Facebook of mine. LinkedIn, what else? All the other things.
All of them.
Because I'm on Facebook a little bit and Bigger Pockets every day. So if you want to connect, definitely do so. If you need some help, I'm here. Nick's here to help. Post something in the forums if you want, or just call me, text me, whatever. I got my phone with me all the time. 7 to 7 though, for phone calls because my wife doesn't wake up so early. So yeah, thanks for coming out. And Nick, you want to say anything before you go?
Oh, thanks, guys. Get after it. I enjoyed it. Keep going. Take action. Focus on really what's important. And do not quit because you will get there. You will. Just don't quit. I promise. I promise. All right. If y'all need anything, give me or Rick a shout. We'll see if we can't help you out.
All right.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you
Thanks for
guys.
your time.
Thank
See
you
ya.
all so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Night, everybody.
Thank you.